He is just a boy. Okay, that is it. He is literally just a boy. And not only are there a million other guys out there just like him, okay, there are also a million other guys better than him. Like, you are acting like he is this gift from God. You made him great. You're the one building him up. Okay, he is just a human being. He's actually a gift from hell.
Well, it sounds to me like someone's come down with a case of the personal problems. By your own logic, and using the words you literally said, you are saying that there are millions of men out there who are a gift from hell, as you so eloquently put it. And if we take this a step further, your assessment of whatever afterlife with which these men were gifted is not applied to the bottom 95% club. Those men are subhuman, and you barely count them as people. So with that obvious factoid out of the way, we can further surmise that the men you want belong to the top 5%. Now, I have yet to meet all of these men, but if there are millions of top 5%ers who are also gifts from hell, I don't see how there could be millions of men in that same club who are also gifts from heaven. Those are the types of men who have options, and trust me, sister, you're not even on the standby list to be an understudy to the backup roster of that particular gentleman. I don't think it's wise to burn the rest of your bridges either. Men don't like being referred to as spawns of Satan. It's kind of insulting. But that's just something to think about as you spend the rest of your life alone. Have fun, toots.
Thanks a bunch, Satan.
Okay, so I just got into my car after going on a date, right? And let me just tell you something. I don't know what the deal is with, like, men now, but I had told him prior that I will be having pre and post date expenses, and is that okay, and are you going to cover them? And I don't know if he wasn't listening or like what the deal was or whatever, but when I handed him the white envelope, he looked shocked, and then he opened it and it's receipts. Hello, pre post date expenses. Hello, like, what kind of females do you be dating? You know what I'm saying?
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Nobody knows what you're saying. Your slurry of broken English, your inability to use periods and sentences, and you being incapable of keeping your eyeballs still for more than half of a nanosecond makes you impossible to understand. Did you mainline a bunch of meth before walking into your car to record this rant that nobody asked for? Are you afraid of oxygen? Is that it? Oh, sweetheart, there's no need to be afraid of oxygen. You see, oxygen is something that our brains need in order to live, and your crippling fear of this basic element has left your brain so deprived of this life-giving gas that it's left you in a current state of hyperactive absurdity. Oh, you poor sap. This is why it's so important to breathe, gentlemen and gents. Well, that, and by getting enough oxygen flow to the brain pan, it allows us to see past the malarkey and not bother with women who are clearly broke. Even though I don't think we need oxygen for that, common sense and the wasteland known as TikTok should be enough.
So anyway, so I handed it to him, and he literally looked shocked at me and said, I can't cover this. It was $478 for pre and post date expenses. You asked me on a date, and mind you, we really didn't even have that good a conversation because he was on his phone the whole time, and I have a very strict no phone policy on dates. Hello, you're here to pay attention to me. Look at all the effort that I had to put into going on this date, and now you have a problem with pre and post date expenses? Are you kidding?
Guess what? Uncle Sam don't give a about your expenses. You want bread? A baker.
Am I the only one who's actually interested in seeing these receipts? I mean, I want to see these crazy ass expenses that she's freaking out about. She said pre and post date expenses at least a dozen times in a 60-second period. And this is just one of the hundreds of thousands of reasons why men don't want to date anymore. Modern women just aren't showing up to get free food. Now they want us to give them money in exchange for them just to show up. And what do we get in this financial transaction? Well, we get the opportunity to focus all of our attention on a medical experiment that's gone horribly, horribly wrong. I mean, how else can you explain the way she looks? And yet, she not only fancies herself as a catch, but one worthy of being reimbursed for the money she wasted on stuff that she assumes was for the date. And if you're only willing to show up to a man if he's willing to pay you in exchange for your attention, then you're not dating so much as you're selling your body and your time. And the only difference between you and your Garden Variety Avenue stroller is, at least with the Avenue stroller, that man is actually getting something for his money.
That's why I praise the Lord for prostitutes.
Hi, we have to take a moment for some shameless self-promotion.
Before moving on with today's video, I want to give a special thank you to Minnow4, and David Small, the two newest members of the Bounty Board over on Patreon. Guys, thank you so much for your support. It truly does mean the world to me. And if anybody else is interested in helping to support the channel, go ahead to the Bounty Board, check it out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you get a permanent producer credit, a personal shout out on the show, as well as access to exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, including Tales from the Lockverse. The link is in the pinned comment down below. You can also support the channel by liking and subscribing, sharing this video, leaving comments. Every single thing that you do helps this channel immensely. The way I see it, I got some of the best damn subs on the internet, and nobody's gonna be able to change my mind on that, so thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. What do you say?
People always tell me that my standards are really high, and that is probably why I am still single. That may be true. However, I do know that there are other factors. Level of self-awareness and my acceptance of myself. I accept myself at where I am right now, and I know that I have the ability to improve, the ability to be better, the ability to get to a better and higher level, and I'm constantly working at those things. And I find that a lot of men in my area that I've met on dating apps, in person, whatever it is, these men are not on the same level.
Oh, really?
Levels. I'm glad you said it, not me. You see, you're at the highest possible level a woman who's dead set on hitting the wall is ever going to be. And that's the level where you're focusing on healing you're going to do, and the confidence that you think you have, and those goals you'll eventually start to think about accomplishing. The men you want are either busy accomplishing these goals, or they've done plenty of work and are hanging out over at Skeeter's house. And I don't know how he does it, but Skeeter somehow got a hold of a shipping container full of gym mats. They were in pretty good shape, so we did the only thing you could do when you've got a couple dozen gym mats. You guessed it, human cannonball. We got tired of waiting for someone to not completely screw up the return of American Gladiators, so we did it ourselves. And we'd invite you to hang out and crash into others with a rope swing, but we don't want to bother you because you're too busy thinking about attempting to heal from your supposed trauma. That would be rude on our part.
Because they don't have that level of improvement or wanting to improve, it is very hard for me to relate to those men and to put myself in that situation where I feel like I can meet somebody and just date. And so that's what makes it hard, is when you have self-awareness level on 100 and others don't.
I must have missed 60 minutes. What are you saying?
Here's a question for you, Toots. If you are 100% self-aware, then why is it that you haven't said a unique talking point that differs from anything else that your kind has said from the hive mind that is known as the modern woman? You would think that with your self-awareness, you'd say something a little bit more profound than, I am better than everybody else because the men in my area are financially poor. But you don't. You're about as self-aware as an Apple II computer, but not nearly as useful or fun. You probably can't even play Oregon Trail without your entire family dying of dysentery before the first obstacle. And with that blatant lack of a valuable skill set, how do you think you're going to compare to a self-respecting man? Maybe we should be thankful that you're not self-aware. The last mindless drone that achieved that, nukes were launched and the cyborg apocalypse got started. So I guess we should count our blessings in that regard.
Fire pool becomes very, very scarce, and you don't have a lot to work with. Most of the time, these men that have that self-awareness piece, that offer what you want, are taken. They're in relationships because they're great people and they're great men. I'm not saying they're all taken, but you're looking for a needle in the haystack almost. When I meet the person, if I do, or if I get the chance to meet anyone, I'll meet them, and I'm not in a rush to meet anybody because I don't have a deadline. I'm not looking to have more children, be married by a certain age. I just don't have those expectations, and I'm okay if it doesn't happen right now, this year, next year. When it happens, it happens.
Okay. What do you mean?
Wait a second, did you seriously say that you didn't want more children? Well, that changes everything and nothing at the same time. You're not only the exact opposite of what a man wants, you refuse to accept that fact. If a man wants to get serious with you, you are going to eventually expect him to share the bills with you. Or let's be real here, more like take them over. You're so entitled and unaware of your lack of value, and you're clearly unable to show a man the basic amount of respect that he deserves. And if you were capable of doing that, you would be referring to this needle as a man and not a person. But if there's any good to be had here, it's not that you're in any rush to get into a relationship, but that's because men aren't exactly in a rush to get one with you. You're used up, damaged goods, sister. You're a single mother, you clearly have some baggage you refuse to deal with, and you provide nothing except brain pain and the inability to feel anything that doesn't revolve around your resentment. And all of this could have been avoided if you just accepted your place in the world. You brought all of this on yourself, sister.
There's the door, why don't you check it out?
Hey, I talked to the girls and they asked me to bring you girl science, and I've almost never refused a woman a day in my life, so let's get right into it. First, we're gonna talk about ugly hot, and then we're gonna talk about short man tall. What is ugly hot? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Okay, ugly hot is when a man is like, but he's also like, and it's hard to explain, but you would know one if you saw one. Now, the reason that these phenomena exist is because women have a hugely stratified scale of attraction, and men have a much more evenly distributed one. So let's do it with a scale of 1 to 10. A 1 for men is probably like maybe 15% of the population. A 1 for women is like 60% of the population. So 60% of all men in the world are a 1 to women. Just blanket, sorry.
Are you sure?
Flattery will get you nowhere, princess. It is far too late for that. There is no way that you can save face with such a generous statistic. We all know that's a load of pure, unadulterated malarkey. The numbers don't lie. It's not called the bottom 95% for nothing. It's not that you determined these men to be some form of an arbitrary rank. If a man doesn't meet your bare minimum standards for attraction, which is outlandish on the best of days, then he doesn't even count as a person. He is considered less than 0, and that's not based on feelings. That's based on psychological data from dating apps, actual testimonials from posted videos on social media, and a whole slew of other things. It's also based on the assumption that the less attractive he looks, the more contempt you hold for him, which is why your ranking system isn't 1 to 10. It's 0, 9, and 10, with 9 being the man that you hate because that's the man you inevitably settle for. The rest are either perfect Spartan gods or they're violent psychopaths. There is no in between with you. Your science is off to a rough start, sweetheart.
Now, a 10 to a man, that's like 10% of women. A 10 to a woman, that's like 2% of men. So ugly hot really just means that a man is pretty much anywhere between an 8 and a 2. So, I'm sorry to be the bearer of this news, but if a man is ugly hot to you, he's probably just average. There could be another explanation though. He could be funny. Why is humor attractive? Great question, because it implies intelligence, because it makes him socially valuable and well-liked, and because it implies that he has some skills interpersonally that are critical for problem resolution and child rearing. Duh. It could also be his pheromones. I hate when this happens, but it does. Sometimes someone who physically is like, genetically is like, and that's just, yeah, sorry, that is rough. But it does, these things do happen.
What?
Okay, let's just get the obvious out of the way. Yes, a man's scale does involve a woman's physical appearance, but that is not the only thing. A woman could be drop-dead gorgeous, fit body, nice hair, beautiful smile, but if she's a mean female dog, she easily drops to a 1. Well, let's say you have an average woman, but she's friendly, caring, peaceful, gives a genuine back rub every once in a while, and knows how to bake some awesome chocolate chip cookies, then her desirability goes up a minimum of 5 to 6 points. And if we find a woman like that, we sure as hell aren't going to apologize for her. You are literally apologizing for having feelings for a guy that makes you laugh if he's not considered attractive by your profoundly slim standards. You're even saying you hate it when you're attracted to a guy's pheromones, whatever the Christ that means. And we all know, by average, you mean a man who's objectively considered to be an 8. That's the lowest that you are willing to stoop, and at that point, you're ashamed of yourself for slumming it. And I hate to break it to you, sister, there's no way a man of that caliber is ever going to stoop that low to be with you.
Short man, tall. What is that, girl? What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. When a guy is short, but like, no, he's not. He's not, like, it doesn't even count. Like, it doesn't even matter. How do you achieve this phenomenon? Short man, tall? It's the opposite of a Napoleon complex. It's actually really simple. You just have to own it. Short man, tall doesn't give a fuck that he's short. It's never stopped him a day in his life. It never will. He does not lie in bed wishing he could put stints in his legs, okay? Never even crossed his mind. He's comfortable in his skin. He's literally just vibing, and he will hit on you. You could be 6'1" and he will hit on you, and you will think about it. This is part of the phenomenon of ugly hot as well, right? Because, you know, it's like, it shouldn't work, but it does. Is that making sense?
No, and I don't care.
You know what? If there's a short king out there who's got himself a good woman, then my dude, you deserve the highest of all hails. Modern women are profoundly cruel to the short kings, and the reason is just as dumb as it is mean. It's all based on her feelings, and the second she sees a short king, she immediately feels unsafe because she doesn't think a man who's less than 6'5" can protect her against bears. Modern women have made it obvious. It's perfectly fine to judge a man based on his height, but if a man judges a woman by her weight, then he's the one that's gone too far. And this woman has the nerve to say that the men she deems as short must work twice as hard and have more confidence than Chad himself in order to meet her standards for girl science. Lady, I got news for you. There is no chance in HE double hockey sticks that you're getting with a short king. He's not the type of man who goes for average-looking women, who thinks that broken English counts as a form of science. That man's a king, and kings don't get with peasants. Before signing off today, gentlemen and gents, I did want to give a quick shout out to Gone with John and the Chow Time podcast, two fantastic content creators that have been doing great work. Check them out if you haven't. Double check to make sure that you're subscribed if you have. YouTube has been up to its shenanigans in the worst possible way, especially since the elections are right around the corner. They don't want our message getting out, so give the middle finger to the YouTube algorithm, triple check your subscriptions to your favorite channels, and let's keep the train rolling. And if you're new here, I hope that I have earned your subscription. I hope that my particular brand of comedy has been bringing you to the brink of laughter. Thanks for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.